Hi, we're here at MGS Custom Bikes. We just got done installing a set of our True Duals on this 2011 Street Glide. Bear in mind, this is for race use only. And we just got done doing a couple pulls, and with no tune, as you can see, we gained 12 foot-pounds of torque right out of the hole at about 2,800 RPMs. Hi, how are you guys doing? I'm Mike. We're here at MGS Custom Bikes. We're getting ready to install a Feuling cam kit. It comes with the oil pump, the cam plate, the lifters, push rods, everything. But the first thing we're going to do is take apart this stock stuff. And what's really important, we're going to check the run out on the flywheels first. And we're going to go ahead and start disassembling this right now. I got Alan from Feuling's nice enough to be here with us right here. Here's Alan.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Hey man, how are you?
Good.
And we're going to do this together and see what kind of horsepower gain and fuel pressure and what kind of gain that we're going to get out of Alan's parts from Feuling.
Yeah, we want to get that oil pump and stuff out of there. We want to see if this crankshaft is in good enough shape to accept our high performance parts.
Okay.
Increase the oil pressure. We're going to get some better scavenging out of this crankcase. Okay. That will increase the horsepower. Increase the longevity of this engine because we're going to control the oil temperature. And the first thing we need to know for this guy's upgrade is what shape this crankshaft in. So we're going to get in there and we're going to put an indicator on there so we can find out what the crankshaft run out is.
Okay man, well let's get to work and let's make this happen.
Okay.
Here we're just about ready to pull this cam plate out of the bike here. And so what's the most important thing we need to pay attention to right now, Alan, as we're doing this?
Well, what I want to do is give you a couple shortcuts. So, you know, shop time is always important to everybody.
Absolutely.
So one of the things the manual doesn't tell you is that if you just take and loosen the tensioner bolts and remove the bottom one, or remove the top one, it falls down out of the way and you kind of just leave it hang there. If you take the sprocket bolts off and pull the sprockets and chains off, all you have to do is loosen the cam plate and the whole assembly will come out. You know, now that we've got the lifters and all of that moved out of the way, we can leave the oil pump in place and that way we can look at it and see how it's operating on this crankshaft.
Well, that's a really good idea.
Shortens you up, you don't have to remove the bolts. And then if we're going to reuse this unit, the oil pump centered and everything, we just
already set.
We just put it right back in.
Well, that'll save us a lot of time. Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
And now that sprocket and bolt sprockets and chain and tension, they will come right off and you can leave them right together and just like that.
There you go. See how easy that was? Everything's still the way it should be. We're going to set that over here. Now Alan, what are we going to do to keep the oil pump in place?
We want to leave these 4 bolts right here, right underneath here, that we want to leave those tight. So what we want to do is remove the 6 bolts that hold the cam plate in, and then that whole assembly will come out with cams and everything.
And we just grab a hold of this thing and pull it out. Okay, there we go. And see, that's the stock oil pump, the cams, the chain, and it's all one unit. So it makes it real easy to take apart. That was a good point that Alan made a big difference leaving this thing in there like that. It's way easier.
Now what we want to do is get the old O-rings out of the sub-seal hole, because we're going to need to change that. We're going to need to change these 2 O-rings when we go back. We can get our gasket out of the way.
Run out right now. Take that, Chris. Okay, we just got the whole cam plate, stock oil pump, stock cams in this, and we're going to bring this over and we're going to let Alan from Feuling switch all this over. And
Put an oil pump to the cam plate, going to start our assembly. And at this point what we want to do is just put the bolts up finger tight. You're going to hold the pump still against the cam plate. We're going to do a centering when we go in there. And we put these on a couple boards just so that we can allow for the cam spigots slide all the way through without hitting the bench. We'll double check our cam timing that we're in location. Get my hands the other way. You should just center these up in the holes. This one's not centered, knocked over. We don't want to force anything in these. These are all just slip fit holes. All the clearances been and checked. If you start crooked and try to push them, they'll bind themselves and stuff. But the best thing to do is have them up there, just wiggle them and they'll fall right in. They fall right in the hole. Now we want to hold on to the assembly. And then we can take his stock washer and his stock snap ring that we took off because everything's in place. This is a good point for me to talk about another kit that Feuling offers. If you were to have a bad tensioner, or if you were to damage this snap ring, or when we get ready to go together and we got to use a different thickness washer to align the sprockets that we'll go over later, you'd have to go to your Harley dealer and buy each individual component. If you needed different washers, you don't know until you get that thing lined up. Feuling has a kit that comes together. It is Harley components, but we have a kit that comes together with all of the washers that you need, that possibly could need for that job. We have all of the Harley tensioners. We have all of the Harley sprockets and chains. For about 250 bucks, you get a complete new setup.
And this
chains, tensioners, sprockets, bolts, everything.
So this would take out all the, I mean, this would save time just to have to put all those part numbers together.
Exactly. And just think of the time it takes to make up the invoice if you have to write down 14 part numbers.
Absolutely.
And put a price on them.
So I can just
one part number, one box, and you can complete that job.
So I can call you and just get this and everything I need's in here.
Everything you need, drag, and then we'll all be distributing it, and you can buy it as a dealer.
That's great.
One part number, one trip to the counter, and you're done.
That's great.
But we're lucky in this job. The guy has good tensioners, he has good chains, so there's no reason for us to utilize that or the expense for the customer.
Yeah, and this bike virtually only has 500 miles on it too, Alan.
We're doing upgrade. So we can get back, and we're almost ready to get back to the engine and assemble this thing. We'll get this snap ring put on here. We'll go back over and we're going to put our tensioner in. You got a little drop of Loctite for those, Mike?
Sure do. Want to use red or blue?
Blue. We're doing steel to aluminum. We like to stay with soft Loctite. The pressure that's on the tensioner should hold the bolts tight, but we want to protect ourselves.
There you go.
We don't need a lot. We just need a little drop. What you want to do with this is a good idea to start one hole, because the tensioner has a little pressure on it, and then you can just put the tensioner up and start the other bolt, and then we can tighten it up. What's the torque on these, Mike?
I'll have to look that up for you, Alan.
90 to 100 inch-pound, 1/4 inch bolt and aluminum. You use it all over this Harley Davidson engine.
So it's
Another
always
shortcut of mine.
90
Steel to aluminum, 1/4 inch bolt, 90 to 120 inch-pounds.
Okay.
Use it everywhere you go. Mike, we got our tensioners and our cams in. When this is freestanding up here because of the tension on this, and new chain, new tensioner, this is going to seem like it doesn't want to turn over yet.
Okay.
But let's wait till we get it in the motor so that these are in their bearings. Because right now with the tensioner on it, we kind of got the cams kind of cockeyed in the plate till they get in those back bearings. We got our oil pump assembly bolted to there, just finger tight. What we want to do is take our finger inside the oil pump, and we want to align the flats of the two gears. And what I like to do is align the flats so that they point up straight between the cams.
Okay.
That way when we go over, it's a good neutral spot for that engine to lie. You put the flats straight up, and then this whole assembly will just slide right over the flats and into place. We got our O-ring on our sub-seal. We want to make sure that that has a lot of lube on it so that it's nice and slippery, because it's got to snap into a hole. And there you go, Mike, you're ready to go back to the engine.
Does your kit come with the new bearings for the case on the inner part?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If this was a high mileage thing and we were actually trying to fix some repairs or some worn out parts, yeah, the kit also comes with brand new Timken full complement bearings, and then we can pull the stock Harley bearings out and replace them with these.
Because a stock Harley bearing has cases in, like a cased bearing.
It is. And what you do is where the camshaft rides in the load the hardest, with that INA bearing, with the bearing stretched out, you get load points that are real high. With this one, it's trying to spread the load out to roller so that the roller pressure point is slightly less. And that's why this is a better upgrade than the Harley bearing.
So we always want to use these bearings with your kit?
Yes.
Okay,
and it's pretty standard in the industry that guys like to go to these full complement bearings, especially on a high loaded unit like this.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and go over to the motor, and let's put these new bearings in before we load the cam plate in, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we got the bearing on, so the letters are facing in, and now we're going to use the cam plate, and we're going to put that on the motor case here.